Dear friend, thank you for being here today. What if I told you that choosing not to consume food for just one day sets off an extraordinary cascade of events inside your body? Have you ever wondered what is truly happening internally when you skip a meal? Is it possible that this short-term stress is actually a signal for profound biological changes? Initially, it might only seem like bypassing breakfast or putting off lunch. Yet just below the surface, something incredible is unfolding. Your internal organs are changing their operations, adopting a state they seldom encounter in our modern world filled with plentiful food. The initial several hours of abstaining from food are a significant trial. Your system needs to determine how to allocate its valuable energy stores. The stomach, despite being unoccupied, continues to function. Digestive fluids are secreted based on routine, practically anticipating sustenance that does not appear. Concurrently, hormonal levels begin to shift, notifying the brain that preserving energy is the new chief concern. It is very much like activating an internal mechanism within your system. By the fourth hour, hormones related to hunger, like ghrelin, surge, leading you to believe you are famished, even when your energy reserves remain consistent. Your system is accustomed to a schedule, and disrupting that schedule registers as an emergency. However, what appears to be a negative sensation is, in reality, the start of an amazing adjustment. From this point, every organ assumes a different responsibility, as though all systems in your body are performing in a coordinated survival ensemble. The leader of this ensemble? Your metabolism, which silently directs a symphony of adjustments. Somewhere around 6 to 8 hours into the fast, your blood glucose concentrations start to drop. For many individuals, this manifests as the feeling of a slump, tiredness, agitation, or perhaps even head discomfort. Physiologically, however, this is your system shutting down its most immediate source of power. Glucose, the simple sugar circulating in your blood, is becoming scarce. The pancreas reacts by secreting a reduced amount of insulin, the hormone tasked with moving sugar into your cells. With diminished insulin, your body cannot depend on a continuous supply of carbohydrates for its power. It consequently directs the liver to intervene, releasing its stored glycogen, which is its reserve supply. This represents the backup power phase of your metabolism. Your liver operates extensively, converting glycogen into glucose to ensure equilibrium in your circulation. It is an intricate balancing act. If excessive glucose is released, your body expends energy needlessly. If too little is released, your brain registers a strong complaint. This very mechanism is what causes you to feel both exhausted and curiously vigilant simultaneously. It is the earliest phase of survival mechanics, establishing the groundwork for the events that will follow. By the 10th hour, your liver is performing as an unrecognized champion. It not only manages blood sugar by distributing glycogen, but also commences preparations for the subsequent phase, metabolizing fat. This adaptability in metabolism is essential. Without this ability, mankind would not have endured times of food shortages. Your liver is fundamentally a manufacturing plant for biochemicals. While many associate it with the organ that processes alcohol or prescription drugs, its function during a fast is substantially more remarkable. It delivers a constant, slow supply of energy that maintains your brain's full operational capacity even when no nourishment is entering your system. As the glycogen reserves dwindle, the liver starts to generate ketone bodies, which are small molecules derived from fat. These ketones serve as a substitute fuel, and your brain readily utilizes them. Indeed, some research indicates that ketones might enhance mental acuity, which clarifies why certain individuals claim improved concentration while fasting. This represents a significant shift. Rather than dreading hunger, your body begins to adopt fat utilization as a normal strategy, with your liver being the chief architect of this change. Within every cell, minuscule structures known as mitochondria function as energy generators. When fasting, they are compelled to operate with greater efficiency, extracting every last bit of power from the minimal fuel remaining. This adaptation at the cellular level is one reason that fasting has been examined for its possible advantages regarding longevity. Cells commence adjusting their respiration, a mechanism referred to as cellular respiration. Lacking a continuous supply of glucose, they pivot to metabolizing molecules derived from fat, a process that generates reduced oxidative stress when compared to sugar-based metabolism. This effectively means your cells are functioning more cleanly, producing fewer metabolic byproducts. This is additionally the period when autophagy, the internal cleansing process of cells, begins to activate. Compromised proteins and defective organelles are identified and broken down for reuse. It is analogous to a deep cleaning at the microscopic scale, readying your cells to operate more effectively when normal food consumption restarts. Consider it in this manner. Fasting compels your system to halt consumption and initiate restoration. It provides a chance for a biological reboot that contemporary eating habits seldom permit. By the 12th to 14th hour, insulin concentrations drop substantially. Low insulin acts like opening the gates to fat metabolism. This hormone, which is typically elevated by regular meals, is now held back, permitting fat cells to discharge stored energy into the circulation. This specific shift is the reason numerous scientists connect fasting with enhanced insulin sensitivity. Your system becomes more adept at utilizing insulin when you do eventually consume food, diminishing the long-term potential for type 2 diabetes. This is about more than just missing one meal. It is about providing your hormones with a complete reset. Curiously, this is also the time when food cravings might reach their apex. Your body detects the metabolic adjustment and attempts to persuade you to capitulate. Yet if you persevere, fat oxidation becomes the new standard, and your energy provision stabilizes once more. The decrease in insulin signifies a deep internal alteration. It indicates that your body has formally departed the fed condition and moved into the fasting condition, where survival-based biochemistry takes precedence. By the 15th hour, your stomach has been vacant for a considerable time, but it persists in manufacturing acid and digestive enzymes according to its usual timetable. This can occasionally result in a hollow, rumbling feeling, which is the noise of your stomach muscles moving in expectation of food. This is not harmful, but it represents your body's method of reminding you that it is structured to anticipate nourishment at regular intervals. The longer the stomach stays unoccupied, the more it starts to recuperate. This duration of inactivity can be genuinely advantageous, affording the intestinal lining an opportunity to mend itself. Constant eating without interruptions, particularly consuming snacks late in the evening, frequently obstructs this innate recovery mechanism. Researchers have suggested that fasting intervals might lessen inflammation within the digestive system. Individuals with ailments such as gastritis or irritable bowel syndrome sometimes report alleviated symptoms during structured fasting periods. While this is not to say fasting is a definitive treatment, it illustrates the degree to which your digestive system values a respite. Therefore, even when quiet, your stomach is performing vital tasks. It is not merely pausing, it is mending, rebooting, and readying itself for the next actual meal. Near the 17th hour, you might experience an unusual level of focus, or conversely, unusual agitation. This apparent contradiction arises from your brain adjusting to ketones as a substitute power source. Ketones do more than just provide energy. They also affect neurotransmitters, altering your emotional state and cognitive lucidity. Some individuals characterize this as a mental acuity that closely resembles the effect of consuming coffee. From an evolutionary perspective, this is logical. When early humans were without food, they required elevated consciousness to successfully hunt or locate sustenance. Abstaining from food activates this deep-seated survival mechanism. However, there is an alternative aspect. If your system is not proficiently adapted to fasting, you might encounter agitation, anxiousness, or mental haziness instead. This outcome is contingent upon your specific metabolism, level of hydration, and quality of sleep. It is not a uniform experience for everyone. In the end, fasting establishes a new operational rhythm for your brain. Whether this sensation is invigorating or aggravating hinges on how your nervous system manages the abrupt change in available fuel. At this juncture, around the 18th to 20th hour, your body shifts more assertively toward using fat reserves for power. Triglycerides stored in fat cells are disassembled into free fatty acids, which then move via the circulation to power your muscles and organs. This represents the genuine fat utilization phase of the fast. The liver converts a portion of these fatty acids into ketones, guaranteeing that your brain maintains a sufficient energy supply. In reality, after almost an entire day without nourishment, ketones can fulfill up to 50% of your brain's energy requirements. This is a reason fasting is occasionally examined regarding neurological wellness, including disorders like epilepsy and Alzheimer's disease. Notably, the breakdown of fat also yields glycerol, which is a molecule your liver can utilize to synthesize new glucose. This provision ensures that red blood cells, which are unable to operate on fat, continue to have a reliable sugar source. It serves as an ideal illustration of how your system maintains equilibrium for survival across all its organs. This mechanism is the cause for fasting, gaining such significant focus in conversations about weight management. Yet it is not solely about diminishing fat. It is about accessing an ancestral energy network designed for your protection. Your heart is not excluded from the fasting dynamic. By the 20th hour, it commences beating with greater efficiency. Reduced insulin and lower glucose concentrations can enhance cardiovascular performance by lowering blood pressure and diminishing inflammation within blood vessels. Some research indicates fasting improves heart rate variability, which is an indicator of your heart's adaptability to stressors. Increased variability signifies that your system is more durable, capable of managing physical or emotional stressors with reduced effort. Nonetheless, fasting also momentarily lowers electrolyte concentrations, which may impact heart rhythm in susceptible people. This is why maintaining hydration, and in some cases, mineral supplementation, is vital during extended fasts. Lacking these, lightheadedness or heart flutters might happen. In general, the heart adjusts smoothly, discovering new cadences that balance effectiveness and stamina. It serves as a notification that even in a state of fasting, your body prioritizes maintaining strong and consistent blood circulation. By the 22nd hour, one of the most intriguing mechanisms of fasting moves to the forefront: autophagy. This represents the body's innate recycling program, where compromised proteins, fractured cellular components, and debris are broken down and repurposed. You can conceptualize it as your body's maintenance crew, finally getting the opportunity to conduct a thorough cleaning. In conditions of continuous nourishment, autophagy is suppressed because cells are preoccupied with processing incoming nutrients. However, fasting activates this mechanism, affording cells the opportunity to mend themselves from within. Autophagy has been associated with enhanced immunity, decreased risk for specific ailments, and even extended life. Studies involving animals demonstrate that intervals of fasting might prolong lifespan by maintaining cells in a more youthful and effective state. Humans are distinct from laboratory animals, yet the findings are persuasive. This internal cleansing is a primary reason why fasting is regarded as something more significant than just omitting meals. It constitutes a comprehensive biological reboot. At this stage, your body is nearing the completion of its initial 24-hour cycle. At the 23rd hour, the microbiome, which comprises the trillions of microorganisms residing in your digestive tract, starts to alter. Without a steady provision of food, specific bacterial populations decline, while others that flourish in fasting environments become more prominent. This shift in microbial equilibrium has profound implications for digestion, immune function, and even emotional state. Scientific investigation reveals that fasting might enhance microbial diversity, a factor strongly correlated with general wellness. A more varied microbiome translates to improved durability against pathogenic bacteria, better absorption of nutrients, and even decreased inflammation system-wide. Your intestines also utilize this fasting interval to fortify their lining. This protective barrier stops toxins from seeping into the circulation, a condition often termed leaky gut. By permitting the intestinal wall to recuperate, fasting aids in sustaining a more robust immune system. Consequently, although your stomach and intestines are vacant, they are by no means inactive. They are actively calibrating a balance that impacts your whole system. One of the most unanticipated outcomes of fasting is the elevation of human growth hormone, or HGH. Following approximately 24 hours without food, HGH concentrations can surge significantly, occasionally increasing 5 times their standard levels. Growth hormone is not solely related to developing muscle. It serves a vital function in mending tissues, mobilizing fat stores for energy, and facilitating cellular recuperation. This identifies it as a crucial element in why fasting is sometimes described as a state of healing. Curiously, this elevation in HGH does not necessitate physical activity or sleep. It is entirely a reaction to the stress of fasting. It appears as though your body is attempting to safeguard lean tissue while simultaneously promoting the use of fat for fuel. For numerous scientists, this hormonal adjustment is one of the most vivid illustrations of how fasting bolsters resilience and long-term wellness. It provides a natural enhancement without resorting to medications or dietary aids. A prevalent concern regarding fasting is the potential for losing muscle tissue. After all, if you are not consuming food, will your body not resort to breaking down protein for energy? The actual situation is more complex. During the initial 24 hours, the loss of muscle is negligible. Your body is sophisticated. It assigns priority to metabolizing fat and glycogen before it utilizes protein. The risk of substantial muscle breakdown only increases when a fast is prolonged significantly beyond a single day. For fasts of short duration, growth hormone actively assists in safeguarding muscle tissue. What you might observe, conversely, is a minor decrease in physical power or stamina during the fast. This is not a result of muscle loss, but rather of diminished glycogen stores within your muscles, which restricts the availability of immediate energy for strenuous exertion. Therefore, while the muscles are impacted, they are not compromised during a fast lasting 24 hours. In reality, numerous athletes employ intermittent fasting strategies to preserve lean muscle while simultaneously reducing body fat. Attaining the 24-hour point is concurrently a difficulty and a milestone. At this time, your body has completely adjusted to fat metabolism, ketone generation, and cellular cleansing. It is operating in a manner that seems unfamiliar to many of us living in a perpetually nourished society. However, fasting is not suitable for all individuals. People with specific health issues, such as diabetes or heart conditions, should never undertake it without medical oversight. For other individuals, it can be an illuminating reset, but it remains crucial to heed your body's internal feedback. This boundary between wellness advantages and potential hazards is where scientific understanding advises prudence. A solitary fast of 24 hours can be advantageous, but transforming it into a regular practice demands meticulous foresight and equilibrium. The scientific consensus indicates it is broadly safe for the majority of healthy adults and that it triggers noteworthy survival mechanisms, including fat utilization, autophagy, hormonal adjustments, and cerebral adaptation. It is less an experience of scarcity and more one of recognizing the true flexibility of the human system. Concurrently, fasting is not a universal remedy. It should not be a substitute for a well-rounded diet, adequate sleep, or consistent physical activity. It is better viewed as an instrument, a method to periodically reset your metabolism and provide your organs an opportunity to mend and revitalize. The experience of a single day without sustenance highlights just how adaptive and sophisticated your body is. What manifests as hunger externally is, in reality, a multifaceted and compelling transformation occurring internally. Whether you decide to fast in the future or not, you now have a deeper comprehension of the remarkable science detailing what transpires inside you. This exploration of the first 24 hours without food reveals a profound biological intelligence. We have journeyed from the initial hormonal signals of hunger to the deep systemic shifts involving fat metabolism, ketone production, and the initiation of cellular repair. The body, it turns out, is not merely surviving. It is actively optimizing, cleaning, and resetting. This entire process offers several powerful conclusions and invaluable lessons for our modern approach to health and wellness. The most fundamental conclusion is that the human body is designed for metabolic flexibility. We possess an ancient, sophisticated system for shifting between two primary fuel sources, glucose from food and stored body fat. In a world of constant food availability, many people exist almost exclusively in the fed state, rarely, if ever, allowing their bodies to access this fat-burning, ketone-producing pathway. The 24-hour fast demonstrates that this alternative pathway is not an emergency measure, but a normal, healthy, and restorative mode of operation. The lesson here is the importance of reintroducing metabolic variability. By intentionally creating periods without food, we are not starving ourselves. We are training our metabolism to be more resilient and efficient, much like exercising a muscle that has become weak from disuse. Another critical lesson centers on the distinction between habitual hunger and true physiological need. As we observed, the spikes in the hormone ghrelin around the 4th hour are largely driven by routine and expectation, not by a genuine energy crisis. This teaches us to observe our body's signals with greater awareness. We can learn to recognize that a growling stomach is often just a signal of transition, not a command to eat immediately. This understanding empowers us to break free from reactive eating patterns, allowing us to make more conscious decisions about when and why we consume food, fostering a healthier relationship with our body's internal cues. Furthermore, the activation of autophagy around the 22nd hour underscores a vital health principle. Repair requires rest. The body cannot effectively conduct its deep cellular cleaning operations while it is simultaneously burdened with the task of digesting, absorbing, and storing new nutrients. This spring cleaning mechanism, which recycles damaged components and clears out cellular debris, is thought to be fundamental to long-term health and the prevention of age-related decline. The lesson is that we must consciously schedule time for this internal maintenance. Just as we prioritize sleep for mental restoration, we should consider fasting as a tool for cellular restoration. The dramatic hormonal shifts, particularly the drop in insulin and the spike in human growth hormone, provide perhaps the most actionable conclusion. High-frequent insulin spikes are a hallmark of modern diets and are linked to many chronic health issues. Fasting provides a direct and effective method to lower insulin, resensitizing the body to its effects. Simultaneously, the rise in HGH helps preserve muscle tissue while accelerating fat mobilization. The takeaway is that managing our eating frequency, the timing of our meals, can be just as impactful as managing our food composition. This is a powerful, non-pharmaceutical lever we can pull to promote hormonal balance. Finally, the journey emphasizes the importance of individuality. While this 24-hour process is a generalized map, each person's experience will be unique, dictated by their metabolic health, lifestyle, and even their microbiome. The irritability some feel versus the mental clarity others report highlights this diversity. Therefore, the ultimate lesson is one of cautious self-experimentation and respect for one's own biology. While the science is compelling, it is a tool for understanding, not a rigid prescription. This knowledge equips us to engage with our health more intelligently, using ancient wisdom validated by modern science to help our bodies function as they were always designed to, with resilience, adaptability, and profound self-healing capabilities.